a seat wherever you like.
I guess I can sit here.
Oh, no, up to you.
Joe can sit here.
I'll sit over here.
Feel home. Very simple.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hope that lunch was more French than English. Hi, Joe. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So you want to tell us a little bit about Clout before I really get into raking you over the coals?
So what we're doing at Clout is trying to measure how influential every person is on the web and what topics they're influential about. The goal is really to help every person understand their influence, shape their influence, and hopefully be recognized for what they're influential about.
Do you really think that there's one way to do this, one specific way?
Like meaning one score, the fact that we just have a 1 to 100 score? I think the way I think of the Clout score is the tip of the iceberg in terms of understanding somebody's influence. The great thing about the score is it's digestible, it's comparable, consumable. The challenge is it doesn't tell the whole story. So I think about what's under the water in terms of how people behave, what they're influential about, geography, those types of things.
Okay, so I actually have a larger Clout score than you, and
Not for long. No,
and I also have a larger Clout score than Ron Conway. I'm also influential in IKEA. My old boss and TechCrunch founder, Mike Arrington, is influential in garlic. Felix Salmon, the Reuters writer, made a joke yesterday about being influential in Muppets. And you yourself are influential in weddings.
I did just get married last month.
Congratulations. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the garlic doesn't make sense, and the IKEA sure as heck doesn't make sense.
So the topic stuff, so there's a couple pieces there I want to
doesn't that imply that Clout is broken?
It certainly applies, and we don't claim to be perfect. I see this as we're really early in the process of, fully just this. There's an evolutionary process here that we're in the middle of. There's a couple pieces there. One is online influence versus real-world influence. You brought up Ron Conway or even Mike Arrington, who aren't necessarily as active on social as you are. And that's actually something we're fixing. So that I'm excited to talk about the next version of the Clout algorithm, which is about to be released, is going to be the first time we start tackling real-world influence. And we're not going to get it right out of the bat, but it's the first time we're moving beyond just online influence. So I actually, having seen the scores, like Mike Arrington's score is going to be higher than yours in the new version.
Now it's higher than mine by 1 point.
So
rub
it in his
52.
face while it lasts. Yeah.
The Aflac duck actually has more influence than Ron Conway, which is pretty amazing. But you already changed the algorithm. You changed this in November, October. You already changed this. There was a massive backlash. People started hashtagging things. Occupy Clout. I wrote a post called "No one gives a damn about your Clout score." I still think that no one gives a damn about your Clout score. You even made XKCD with the cartoon punch me in the face if I ever interact with Clout in any way that's not to get off of Clout or opt out. So you've already changed the score once.
And we're going to keep changing it. I think we can certainly do much better at the process that we use to change it and how we introduce that and how we explain it and the transparency around it. So we're very aware of that. And you actually can't even say October 26th in our office without people kind of flinching.
What was that like? As an entrepreneur, what was that like to have the whole internet just blow up at
It was
your product?
pretty crazy because, Occupy Clout was trending. My phone number was in that tweet, so I had like hundreds of calls of people basically threatening my life about their Clout score. So when you say
That's crazy.
that whether it's XKCD or TechCrunch or you or whatever saying Clout doesn't matter, I I think we're clearly proving that's not true.
Can I read you some of your users' responses to the arbitrary to the arbitrary or one of your users' responses to the arbitrary drop, and then another
people were
user's
enraged. Like, so yeah.
My score went from 73 down to 53. 20-point drop. I've been working for months to increase my Clout score. Okay. Please fix this. That's from Timothy Whalen. And then this one's from a guy who took a vacation, and this was unrelated to CloutGate or whatever, Occupy Cloud or whatever you want to call it. I was worried that brands couldn't get in touch with me. It's easy for them to forget about you, and I knew my Clout score would go down if I stopped tweeting for too long. Okay. So clearly someone cares about Clout, right?
A lot of people care, yeah.
But are you, like I called you in the article, sort of like a P.T. Barnum of social media, just convincing these people that their worth is this random arbitrary number next to their name?
I mean, I think the bigger trend going on is, if you think back 10 years ago, or maybe even a little longer than that, this idea that like being competent and on a PC was actually like a critical life skill and job skill and communication skill. Then it was just being comfortable on the internet, being able to use Google or whatever else. Now it's like being effective on social media is a critical skill, and Clout is, people are putting a lot of effort into that, and Clout is the barometer that's at least helping people benchmark, their effectiveness as their kind of online persona matures.
Okay. I mean, you've got competitors. You've got Peer Index, and you've got Cred.
Right.
But let's assume for a moment that you guys aren't just arbitrarily picking numbers and telling people that those numbers are what they're worth. Should this kind of online reputation system, because it's going to happen. You've got $40 million of investment. You just raised another $30 million from Kleiner and some others. So I know what the play here is. The play is that all of these collaborative consumption services like TaskRabbit and Airbnb and all these things that, more or less make you interact with strangers will need some sort of reputation score that goes beyond Facebook. And because you were a first mover, I'm assuming, you're like clearly positioned to take that role once you figure out your algorithms and why it's telling Felix that he's influential about Muppets. Like once you figure this, once you refine this, if you refine this ideally, it's a major play.
I believe it is, and and again, it's really early in that process, and we have certainly a ton of work to do, and that's what fuels us internally. But the idea that the web is transitioning from pages to people, and whether it's interacting on these collaborative consumption sites like a TaskRabbit or an Uber or a Zarly, are its sites new social networks that emerge and customization and things that they can do for users based on their Clout, are things that happen offline, like Clout Perks, or things that happen with our API that recognize people for the power of what they're saying online is really exciting to me.
Okay, so how many of you in this audience use Clout? Like legitimately, all right, 2. How many of you guys think that Clout is an accurate representation of your at least social media activity, of your influence? 1, all right. So let's say that you fix that and all 5 people raise their hands when I ask the second question. Should this power really be in the hands of a third party? I mean, isn't this just way too much control over, people's sense of self-worth? And then you're selling it to brands, which is a whole other problem. But let's just start with that.
So because I don't agree that we're selling it to brands, but kind of first the first part is the power of the score, or of Clout. I think it has to be a third party that's just hands, separate from whether it's Google or any of those other players that can pull data from everywhere and be kind of Switzerland in looking at that. I do think, though, it comes with great responsibility, and we have to be accurate and transparent and give our users controls that are appropriate with that power. And those are all areas I think we still have a lot of work to do that we still are evolving.
Have you ever had a privacy breach? I think you might have had one recently, right?
We had one that was, we've had one. And,
see, that's why it's sort of hard to think of a world where my value as a human is in somebody else's database.
I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, we certainly don't want to, it's not value as a human. Most of my friends have low Clout scores, and I love them. It's not like they're.
Why are you doing more to raise your own Clout score?
I'm sorry, what?
Why are you doing more to raise your own Clout score?
Why aren't I? I don't think I think it's about, people do whatever they're comfortable with online, and they have the Clout score that's appropriate to them, and certain people want to build that and take a ton of kind of ego identity tied to that number. Other people are comfortable just knowing that who they're impacting and what impact they're having, and just kind of just knowing that is a value. But I don't think people should. Clout is a representation of your online influence that is a good barometer, that is something that can help people shape their influence and continue to build it as their social media life grows. So
who is your ideal Clout user? It's not me, because I don't, anyone who thinks about these things deeply is going to kind of eschew it, or not anyone. Most people, and again, I'm privileged because I've got thousands of Twitter followers or whatever. But who is your ideal Clout user? What is the algorithm measuring now? What do you want it to measure in the future? What are you changing again? How are you going to prevent your users from revolting?
Raging. So first, who the ideal Clout user is?
Is a mom.
So I actually really love the fact, you're influential. You're a writer on TechCrunch. You have got thousands of followers. You're an obvious influencer. You get.
Anytime I tell my followers to buy something from IKEA, they run to the store.
So you're easily recognized for your influence. What I love is that we have thousands and thousands of people who are actually the bulk of our users now are coming directly from Facebook, that are kind of just moving beyond introductory phase to more meaningful activity, and are trying to establish their voice online and view social media as this democratizing force, and Clout as also a democratizing force, where we're getting these people access to cool things through Clout perks, and they're kind of the non-obvious influencers that might be the most influential person on fly fishing in Topeka, Kansas, but that's still something they can be proud of and be recognized for. And so I love that type of user, which is really a Clout score of 40 to 60 or 70 maybe, are just the kind of emerging voices on social that aren't as well known and are just kind of more normal people.
So is this new algorithm change gonna fix outlier categories like Arrington being influential in garlic? Because until you get that down, you're not really gonna have. You're gonna have a bit of circumspection when people look at their Clout scores and find these random things. So, and then wait, one more. What's the deal with +K? Who doesn't seem stupid when they +K people? When you see +K, do you think, oh, this sounds so cool?
So the main use case on +K is really a form of gratitude, and it's actually used a ton like hundreds of thousands a day, where it's, you tell me about a restaurant, I go there, and it's something you tell me just, in real life, hopefully. And like plus K is like you influenced me on this topic. And, beyond just liking or retweeting or whatever else it might be. So people are using it as a form of gratitude, and I think that's a great use for it. So the other question.
How are you going to tweak your algorithm so it won't show everyone random things?
So the algorithm, there's two pieces. There's topics, which we do see crazy topics, but IKEA, it could be a lot of different things. It could be our garlic or whatever random things. First of all, we show like 20 topics, so there's things you're highly influential about and things that are really low that maybe are kind of very hit and miss, and we continue to refine that. But it's also a matter of like what your network talks to you about. So like a popular one that people wonder why they have is cats, and if their friends are sending them silly cat pictures, it makes you influential. You could have a small amount of influence.
But whose friends aren't sending them cat videos? Like, how do you?
I mean, you could have a small amount of influence in that scenario. Topics are another thing, though, really, really difficult to do in social media where there's so little context, and there's like one example that causes a lot of trouble is somebody talking about the show Lost versus I lost my keys, and like, so again a big challenge that we're continuing to evolve. One thing we love when people do is when they have stupid topics, if they delete them, it feeds back into the algorithm and makes it better. And that's, again, giving people the power to say, like, no, this is not right. I'm not influential about this, or you're missing this topic, and something, we give people that control. So the algorithm, if you think about Google in terms of organizing pages, like they've, for the last, 12, 15 years, however long, like have been evolving like you have to evolve as like for us, it's like new networks emerge, new behaviors take shape, we get better and smarter about what we're doing. So I think if we weren't evolving the Clout score, it would be terrible. It would be like, that's unacceptable. Like, we have to get better. We have to grow. So the things in the future, we're actually going, way more signals. Right
now, it's really heavily Twitter focused.
I think the last change really shifted away from Twitter, and Twitter's not. I think Twitter has an appropriate amount. It's actually not super Twitter focused. But big changes coming, more signals, and the first attempt at like tying real world influence into the Clout score.
How so?
Don't want to spoil the total surprise, but it's really, I think we've come up with the start of an interesting way of doing that. And
more perks like the Cathay Pacific airline thing?
Those are kind of separate from the score, but like actually so that like a Ron Conway or a Warren Buffett like can be recognized for the influence they have offline, and and also you can be recognized for the influence you have online, and kind of showing that.
Conway will be happy. He has a chance at raising his 43 score.
Yeah.
Right. So what I actually love about you is that you came up with the idea for Clout while your mouth was wired shut and you couldn't talk.
Yeah.
For 3 months, he had his mouth wired shut because of a jaw realignment surgery. So you've gone through that. You've gone through the apocalypse. I'm
always worried, though, the investors, if we don't like grow fast enough, the investors are going to break my jaw to have another good idea. So that's the bad part about starting.
Depends on who your investors are. So what parting advice do you have for the entrepreneurs in the room about overcoming really crazy obstacles and getting up the next day and still doing it?
I think the history of Clout has been me and the team maybe not being smart enough to realize how challenging what we're doing is, and just like charging straight ahead into this kind of crazy ambition. And when my jaw got unwired and I'd been building Clout and went to show my friends, everyone said it was a stupid idea, because this was early 2008. So who cared who was influential on Twitter? Because I wasn't even looking at Facebook yet. It was like, but I thought it really mattered, and I really wanted to show. I really believed that we were like the world was changing, and that that social media was empowering people in a new way, and that they should be recognized for the impact they're having. So it's really just having the passion to do whatever you can. And I know people like you hate Clout, like people hate Clout, like
I don't hate it, I just don't believe in it.
I don't believe it or whatever, but like
it's like Santa.
That just makes me want to work harder and keep building. And you know, you asked what that was like in the office when we were going through the cloud apocalypse, and I was worried, like when TechCrunch writes something about like.
No one reads TechCrunch. Don't care what TechCrunch writes.
Thankfully, but but when when you read something about like why your product doesn't matter, were people going to start bailing, and from the team, and in fact it bonded everyone much tighter, and it really does fuel us to push harder and build better things. And we love the challenge and the naysayers.
Thank you, Joe. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but
thank you.
Keep working. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. You want to shake my hand? Your third LeWeb.
My first chance.
Alex, you're off, so
I
Alex
don't
says.
remember the first time. Oh.
You will always wait. Come back. Come back. What did you say?
Loic gave me my first interview, and unlike I did right now, where I went over time, I was so nervous that I went under time and like left the stage.
And I had to run.
And we couldn't find him. But it was my first. No one had ever put me on stage before, and now this is, I guess, my fourth LeWeb. I blocked the first one out, and
I love having you, Alexia.
I love being here, and I just wanted to thank you because you had faith in me before almost anyone else.
This is so nice of you. Thank you, Alexia. And you're editor of TechCrunch, right?
I'm co-editor. Stop. There's my co-editor somewhere here.
Yes,
Shout
I
out
see
to
him
Eric
actually.
Eldon.
Right. You're co-editor.
Co-editor. I've got a partner.
Congratulations for
they
all
won't
that.
Let a girl do this on her own.
All that success. Thank you,
Bye,
Alexia.
everybody.
Bye-bye. See you around.